Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show.
Show enough.
I'm showing off?
No, I said show enough.
Oh, yes.
It is, in fact, the pre-show before the free show. I am Greg. That is Ashley. It is game day in the regional finals across the state. I don't know how many games are tonight. This is knowable. Let's see if we can get live coverage of this. There are 5 games tonight. Holiday and Gunner, Post and Stamford, Honeygrove, Joaquin, Marlin, Ganado, and Junction and Shiner are all tonight.
Nice.
So we've got 5 games tonight. We're going to break them down. We're going to go depth chart by depth chart and just go through. We're going to break down the 2 deep of each of those teams. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
And I really hope that if there are any children watching, like young children,
where is this going?
Please avert your ears and go somewhere else. I hope they're gone. Did you guys do Elf on a Shelf growing up?
We did not.
You didn't?
No.
So Hank came home from school the other day. I think it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, why don't we have an elf? And it's like, this puts us in a tough spot.
Remind me, and maybe anybody else that doesn't know, the elf changes positions every day, correct? What's the purpose of the elf?
I think the idea, the lore behind it, because we didn't do it growing up either. The lore of the elf on the shelf is that it's an elf that you adopt that lives in your house that then goes and narcs on you to Santa.
Oh. Okay, so
there's a couple.
You want to behave around the elf.
I think it's a surveillance state thing.
Okay.
Of like, we want to surveil our children and make sure they're acting right. I think that's part of it. I think it's also just like Christmas magic. It's like he comes around. Oh my gosh, look, he's moving around while you're sleeping.
No, I'm here for that.
He went to the North Pole and came back and told Santa that you didn't eat your lima beans, right?
Lima beans are trash.
Okay,
I think Santa would agree with that.
I'm just using it as an example.
Santa seems like a guy that knows good legumes versus bad legumes.
Rank your top 5 legumes.
Definitely not lima beans. Okay. Baked beans. Bush's baked beans, to be exact.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. And
charro beans need to be up there, too.
So Mrs. Tepper,
my wife,
said, she was like, do you want to do this? She goes, but here's the thing. And because she's, as you know, way smarter than me, she was just like, I just need you to know, like, this is a commitment.
Yeah.
Like, this is another thing we are adding to our to-do list and stuff like that.
And you've got to do it when they go to bed.
Exactly. Furthermore, there's also the instance in which, like, so Max, as we'll get to in birthdays today, Max turns 3 today.
Yay, Max.
Yay, Max. Max is a wild man.
Yeah.
And I think part of the lore is that you're not supposed to touch him.
Yeah. And
so Hank, not worried about him following that rule. Max has no use for your earthly rules.
Max is you know the old the Hulk meme where he takes the normal sized human being and just slings him around? That's Max with the elf.
Listen, I think my new nickname for my youngest son is Full Send Max.
Yeah. He's a little rascal.
He is a rascal. That's a good way to put it. All of that to say is that's another thing we're going to have to navigate. And the elf arrived this morning. We did it. We're going to do it. And we're signing up for the bid. I think my wife. Let me try to speak on her behalf. I think she knows. I think she can see the end of the Christmas magic.
Yes.
Coming, because Hank is 6 now, and I think she's just like, I want to. Like, I think she's into it because she wants to cram it as much in as possible.
Yeah.
Which I respect and I get.
Well, and I know this as being an older sibling, and an older sibling by 6 years. Hank will do a good job of making sure the Christmas magic is not ruined, even though he might understand the whereabouts of where gifts are coming from.
Correct.
But yeah, as an older sibling, one that was very far removed, I had to play dumb for a long time.
Yeah, that's we had to do that. I have a younger brother, and we had to. I knew, and he didn't for a spell.
And it was funny because I didn't tell my parents when I knew, because I was scared that if I told them, Jake would get all the presents and I would not get any. So mine probably lasted far too long.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
I was scheming.
You were scheming. You are. If there's a Yuletide schemer, it's Ashley Pickle.
Finesse is the way that I like to put it.
All right, enough of that nonsense. Hit the theme expo. Yes, y'all. From the new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a program online. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the places, or you'll listen to the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, in her lair.
Why is it got to be a lair?
She is the Grinch. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is a charcuterie fan. Miss 305. She's Ashley Pickle.
I am the furthest thing from the Grinch. I'm in a Christmas sweater for the third day in a row.
I am saying...
'Tis the season. Look, it's Snoopy.
Okay. All I am saying is that in the end, the Grinch was really into Christmas.
But he was against it from the beginning. So I was not against it.
I'm just saying you are post...
I'm a lot more Cindy Lou Who than I am the Grinch. By the way, you ever want to get Mallory Hartley popping off about a movie scene? Ask her about when Cindy Lou Who in the actual human version of the Grinch, when she does her little solo song. Hartley hates that scene. I'm like, she's like a 6-year-old girl. Leave her alone. She hates that scene.
What a weird hill to die on.
Yeah. I hope she's listening out there right now because she hates that scene. It's wild.
Today is Thursday, December 5th, 2024. It is a mere 357 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Max Tepper.
Happy birthday, Max.
Max is turning 3.
Full send Max.
We went full send Max. We went into his room this morning and we set up we had stuffed animals, so we put little party hats on.
Oh, nice.
Waiting for him. He was excited about that. But then Max, happy birthday, you're 3. And he just goes, no, 5.
That's awesome.
It's like,
why be only a portion of the hand when you can be the whole hand?
Fake ID Max is coming. No, 5. You don't even don't worry about that.
All right.
It's episode 1821. On today's show, folks, a big show. It's regional final week. We got my top 10 Texas high school games of the week. This segment was a mistake.
Yes.
As I was putting this together today,
I laughed when I was typing it out. I was like, what a dummy.
This segment made a lot of sense in week 4.
Yeah.
And it makes almost no sense in week 15.
Correct.
I don't think we'll do it next week because then I'd be picking half the games. I don't think we're going to do it next week. So maybe the final episode of my top 10 games of the week because this one sucked. Then we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Wall Hawks. Coach Craig Slaughter will join us live on the phone. We'll talk a little bit about their big game coming up here with Canadian and also about some interviews that he conducted in his previous life. We'll talk about that. And then back half of the show, the picks, my high school football predictions for the regional finals, I suppose, week 15. the Texas high school football season. All 44 UIL Texas high school football games predicted. We'll get into that. And then we'll round it all out by talking to Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer.
A lot of Craigs.
Every Thursday. A lot of Craigs.
Craigs and Gregs. God.
Big egg show. And then
We're
we'll
like
have...
an egghead.
we'll have... Why would you talk about Craig?
No, you have a big
and then we'll
dome.
and then we'll have final thoughts with mailbag sprinkled in as well. So if you got questions, get them in the comments, Facebook and YouTube. Pot right? Sound good?
Uh-huh.
We let them around? Do we first four through the door?
We sure do. It was TJ Hudson, also the birthday boy.
Happy birthday, TJ Hudson.
TJ Hudson. Tony Blaylock, Ed McElroy, and jersey number 69. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, friends. We do appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. It is the regional finals of the 2024 Texas high school football season, the state quarterfinals as well. How your mileage may vary on how you want to define that. I'm always of the opinion, this is me, and this is the way that I've kind of informed our staff, is that you have to win a region first before you can compete at the state level.
Yeah.
To me, the state semifinals is the first statewide competition because theoretically you're in your region, you know what group of teams could be in that mix, like theoretically.
Yes.
That's where I'm at on it, but
you knew your potential opponents by the time that you looked at the bracket.
State quarterfinal time, though, regional final time, and there are 44 UIL Texas high school football games, including 4. We'll punch our first 4 tickets to AT&T Stadium this week.
Let's go. 6-man.
In the 6-man football state semifinals. Of those 44 games, I made the very dumb decision of being like, hey, what if I pick 10 of them?
Yeah, I was like, why? What are you doing?
Because we needed a segment. We needed to fill, I
guess.
And so let's roll out my top 10 Texas high school football games of the week for the regional finals, starting with number 10, LaPorte and Angleton.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
This game going down Saturday, 2 o'clock at NRG Stadium in Houston. It is a matchup of teams that I don't know if they were... I'll just say this. From the outset, we did not expect them to be here. We expected this to be a different Region 3 rematch in 5A Division 1. We expected it to be College Station and A&M consolidated. Well, then Angleton goes and knocks off College Station, and then LaPorte goes and knocks off A&M consolidated, and does so in really, really impressive fashion. This is... I am not a fan, generally speaking, of the disrespect season, of the nobody believed in us type thing. But I would say that these two guys, they have some claim to it. I think I have picked against both of these teams every week. I might have picked like LaPorte in round 2. But both these teams, if they want to be mad at me, they are well within their rights to be real mad at me. This is a rematch of a district game back in week... I had this written down somewhere. Back in week 10. LaPorte beat Angleton 35-28. And what I like about this LaPorte team, we had Kevin Bernithi on their on High School Scoreboard Live on Saturday night. And they are doing it on the ground, grinding it out. The kind of wing tee offense has been great. And they're doing it with 2 guys. They're doing it with Tyrese Barnes, the senior, and they're doing it with Sean Simon, the freshman.
Crazy.
Okay? They are running the dang ball. Angleton is another team that I think is playing exceptionally well right now. Obviously, 12-1, their one loss on the year is to LaPorte. This gives them an opportunity to avenge that. They're coming off of a really impressive win over College Station last week. And my question for them, if you go back to the first time that they met, the question is going to be, well, what's changed? What is different? What is unlikely to happen? I think Angleton's defense is playing pretty well, but they gave up 351 yards on the ground to Sean Simon last time. Got to shore that up, obviously, but I think Bryce Duran, their quarterback, has been very good as well. This is a fascinating ball game, and we want to see how far the Angleton defense has come in a rematch. That game Saturday at NRG. Number 9. Kilgore and Tyler Chapel Hill.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
Thank you. This is also a rematch of a game back on October 11th where Kilgore body bagged Chapel Hill, 42-7, absolutely drilled them. And on paper, Kilgore, I think, should be a clear favorite in this game. They've already beaten Chapel Hill by 35 points. By the way, this game's going on in Forney, which is an all-time weird, like, if you go look where Kilgore and Chapel Hill is, and then go look where Forney is. It kind of doesn't make any sense. Kilgore has a 35-point win over Chapel Hill. Kilgore is rolling. Kilgore, I think, is playing their best football right now. They've got a Michigan signee in Jaden Sanders. They've got dudes all over the field. The defensive front has been menacing. It's been fantastic. They are, on paper, the clear favorites. And yet I think this is a coin flip game for a couple reasons. One, Chapel Hill is much healthier than they were back on October 11th. I believe Demetrius Brisbane did not play in that game. And also, Ricky Stewart did play, but I think he was limited. So they're much healthier as just superstars are concerned. And two, Chapel Hill has knocked Kilgore out of the playoffs in 3 consecutive years. They have had their number in the playoffs. Kilgore has won games against Chapel Hill in the regular season. They have never been able, at least recently, been able to answer the solve the riddle in the playoffs. Fascinating ball game, dripping with intrigue. East Texas 4A Division I action. Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Number 8, Aledo and Denton Ryan.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
Thank you.
I like your face when I don't do it immediately.
This is another rematch. October 4th, these two teams played. And this is a top 5 matchup in 5AD1. Aledo is Aledo. Okay, you don't need any introduction to Aledo at this point. It is important to remember that back on October 11th, or October 4th, when these two teams played, Aledo won 42-27, but that is hardly the story here.
Oh, yeah.
Because Denton Ryan was not just winning this game, they were kind of crushing Aledo.
Yes.
For a hot minute. And I think they were up 19 at one point in this game. Before Aledo stood on the gas pedal and roared back and came back for a win. Racing Guillory's been great. Jaden Finley. I think Beard, their quarterback, has really started to grow into the role. Defense is playing well. Ryan has long been, since they got aligned 3 years ago into Aledo's district, they've long been earmarked as potentially the Aledo killer. Well, here's your chance. I've said from the jump, I think that if you're going to get Aledo, this is the year to do it, because I think they're going to be better next year. And I think if you're Ryan, with Quinn Hennigan and company, this represents your best shot. This is a huge game with a spot in the state semifinals on the line. This game going on at Crowley ISD Stadium Saturday afternoon, live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Number 7, Lake Travis and Austin Westlake.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
7 o'clock Friday night at the Palace on Parmer, Kelly Reeves Stadium in Round Rock. Obviously, this is another rematch. Obviously, this is I don't need to sell you. These are the two teams of record in Austin. This game, this back in October 25th, Westlake won 28-16. Now, I do believe that right now, if you wanted to say what has changed, Lake Travis is now healthier than Westlake is. Westlake's banged up, right? Cal Livengood's going to be out. Grady Bartlett potentially out. And that offense may not be as sharp as it was last time they met. Lake Travis is getting healthier. Lake Travis, Chaston Ditta, Van Hopping, going up against Reese Wise and company. Westlake and Lake Travis obviously is worth the price of admission. It'll be great stuff. The last game was determined by Westlake's defense and special teams. Is it true that Westlake is just superior on defense and special teams this year? We'll find out. Hard to beat a good team twice. Westlake and Lake Travis going down in Round Rock. Number 6, Sinton and Wimberley.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
4A Division II action. And this is a fascinating ball game because of what... I'm sorry, 4A Division I. 4A Division II. Because of who Wimberley is in Region 4. They have won 5 of the last 7 regional titles. And Cody Stover is the magic man back there for Wimberley at quarterback. But Sinton has looked like, since about week 3, the team that could upend Wimberley. Tristan Hansen, their quarterback, Aiden Galvin on the defensive side. They have been molly-whopping teams. And they have great balance to their entire team. When the offense has an off day, their defense can pick up the slack. Wimberley is incredibly hard to beat in regional play. Incredibly hard. Sinton looks like a team that can do it, but looking like you can do it and doing it are two different things. It's 7:30 p.m. at Harlandale Memorial Stadium in San Antonio. You can watch it on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Sinton and Wimberley is spectacular stuff. Into the top 5. Number 5, Allen and North Crowley. This game is Saturday afternoon. It's on FanDuel Sports Southwest. Battle of unbeatens. Battle of, I think we'll talk about more in the picks. The heavyweight slugfest here is when North Crowley has the ball. North Crowley with Chris Jemerson, Daniel Bray, another running back, Warren, I want to say it is, as well as Quentin Gibson, the Mr. Texas football finalist out wide, up against what has been a spectacular Allen defense led by Mitchell New. That is the real money matchup when North Crowley has the ball, because I think there's an argument to be made this is the best defense North Crowley has played this year. For Allen, they're an offense that doesn't blow you away with big plays. A lot of this comes down to Brady Bricker, their quarterback, making plays, because I think that the front 7 for North Crowley is going to make running the ball tough. Can Brady Bricker, the quarterback for Allen, make plays? It is a battle of unbeatens at Newsom Stadium in Mansfield. It is really fun. I'm really excited about it. Number 4, Galena Park North Shore versus Humboldt Atascocita.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
Another rematch. This was, of course, the game of the week back whenever they played it on October the 25th. And you remember how it went the first time. Atascocita went up and for about 40 minutes of the 48-minute game, they were pretty clearly beating North Shore. But those other 8 minutes, North Shore pulled some magic. And Caleb Bailey came up with plays. They got major plays defensively. The question is, what has changed, right? The question with rematches like this is one going down at Thorne Stadium in Houston on Saturday afternoon. North Shore has beaten Atascocita 9 straight times. 9 straight times. They have owned Atascocita. Now, Torrey Blaylock is, I believe, healthier than he was when they played the first time. That's huge. I also think the North Shore defense is better than it was the first time they played. Matt Stepp brought this up on Tep and Step, which you can watch tomorrow, that North Shore has been careless with the football. If they are careless with the football, Atascocita is going to beat them. That is not an opinion. They will beat them. Can they hold on to the football, be smart with it, get DeAndre Hardiman going at the running back spot? I think if they take... Step said it on Tep and Step, and I agree. I think if North Shore takes care of the football, they win by 2 touchdowns. I think if they don't take care of the football, Atascocita wins. Fascinating ball game. Number 3, Columbus and Franklin.
Love this game.
3A Division I, Region 3, and it is Judgment Day in Region 3. Franklin coming off of an impressive win over a wounded but still very good Hitchcock team. Columbus really dominated Yoakum last week. It's not as close as the score indicates. A lot of that was garbage time. The Franklin's played in 4 straight state championship games. They are 2 plays away, basically, from being 4 straight state champion. And Jaden Jackson is a thoroughbred. He's a moose back there. His brother, Bubba Jackson.
Moose Jr.
You know how I feel about running backs named Bubba. And they're just doing that. This is Franklin's time of year. Like, this is when they play their best football. They run the ball out of the slot T, and the defense hits people. Well, here comes Columbus with explosive playmakers, most notably their quarterback, Adam Schobel. Grayson Rigdon left the game last week and did not return. We do not know his status for this game. That would obviously be huge. Can Columbus dethrone Franklin? That's the name of the game. And to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Franklin is the man in 3A Division I. Even though they're not the defending state champs, they are, because over the course of the last half decade, they have been the man. Here's an opportunity for Columbus to grab the crown. Massive game. Number 2, Gordon and Abbott.
Yes.
This is 6 o'clock Saturday at the Wild in Godley, the incredible new Godley Stadium.
It's insane.
I won't mince words. This is the 6-man football game of the year. These 2 teams have been wire to wire number 1 and number 2 in the state. We talk more about it in the picks, and I don't want to spoil that, so please stick around. They have been so dominant that this is immovable force versus irresistible object type stuff. I have agonized over this game. This feels like game of the century type stuff in 6-man football. It is enormous with a spot at AT&T Stadium on the line. This game's on FHS Network, right?
Yes.
I will be watching this game. This game, 6 o'clock from Godley. Watch it. This is the game of the year in 6-man football. These are the 2 best teams in 6-man football. Only one others. Number 1, a small gathering of friends in Nacogdoches.
Name one time that these 2 teams have seen each other.
It's South Oak Cliff and Port Neches Groves. It's South Oak Cliff and Port Neches Groves.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live,
Thank you.
Not the state championship game. That's where I thought you were going with that one.
In the regional final. And needless to say, there's a lot on the line here. These are the past, South Oak Cliff's been in the last 3 state championship games, won 2 of them. Port Neches Grove's been in the last 2 state championship games, won 1 of them. The defending state champs. P&G's win over Texas High was awfully impressive. And they came up, they did what they do best, which is to lean on that offensive line with Jackson Christian and to run the damn ball. They essentially got into single wing last week and just ran the damn ball. But that is, to me, what makes this so fascinating, because Kamarian Morgan and the defensive front for South Oak Cliff is probably the strength of their team. That is gladiatorial stuff. When P&G wants to run the ball, that is massive. The other side of the ball, I need to see something from this P&G defense. South Oak Cliff's offense, Carter Kopecky and company, they're rolling right now. I don't need to tell you on this. This is probably for Lovejoy and Argyle would love to have something to say about this, but I would just say that this is a enormous game that is worthy of the hype. Huge prospects, huge playmakers, 2 teams that do not care for each other, 2 fan bases that have been chirping at each other for 2 years, now colliding in Nacogdoches at Stephen F. Austin. Friday night. It's good stuff. South Oak Cliff and Port Neches Groves, my number 1 game of the week. There it is, my top 10 Texas high school football games of the week for the regional finals. I know I missed 34 of them. Sorry. I booked the show months ago saying that we do a top 10 segment, and that was dumb on my part, and I apologize to you.
Yes.
We're Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hopefully, you're going to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. All those games we talked about that are going to be on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, TexasFootball.com/subscribe is how you do it. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll talk with the head coach of the Wall Hawks, Coach Craig Slaughter, ahead of their big game with Canadian tomorrow. But first, a word from these valued partners.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
30-yard line, the 20, the 10, touchdown!
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Back here on Texas Football Today, I'm Greg, that's Ashley. And Pickle, let's go to the hotline. Let's go to Tom Green County, home of the Wall Hawks. Talk to the head coach of the regional final bound Wall Hawks, Coach Craig Slaughter. Join us. Coach, how are you? Coach, you got me? Oh, no, cell coverage. Coach, you got me?
Hey, yeah, how you doing, man?
There it is. Gotcha. How are things out there in Tom Green County?
Hey, good as ever. Good as ever. Practicing in December, so that's good as it gets.
I want to talk a little bit about the kind of revolution that you've overseen there at Wall. Obviously, taking over for Houston Guy, a guy who has been a decorated coach in his own right. You came in and you really kind of overhauled the offense from a kind of a much more running based thing to you guys are let's say a little bit more balanced, slinging it around a little bit more. What can you tell us a little bit about the process of taking, moving from a more kind of ground-based attack to what has been working for you guys with a 3,000-yard passer?
No, it is. I can't give enough credit to the kids because, man, we have some really good pieces of that puzzle right now, including a quarterback that is just a cerebral, smart, just really good football player named Landon York. And yeah, again, if you'd asked me at the start of the year what our numbers would have looked like, I don't know what I would have put that number at. But yesterday after practice, I was actually propping him because, he's over 3,000 yards. And again, credit to him, credit to that amazing O-line that's protecting that dude. And, we have some really good weapons, on the perimeter. And also can't give enough credit. I get very little credit offensively. I hired the right guy. We had a guy on staff named Rob Londerholm, and he is absolutely the guy driving that scheme-wise, driving that bus. For the Wall Hawks, and he has done a tremendous job. But like I said, I couldn't be more pleased with the production they've had. I was super worried going into the year just because we've been a stay on schedule, under center football team, which very few mistakes. I was just so worried about bad snaps or quarterback sacks, turnovers, and man, our kids and our coaches, they've just done a killer job. We have played really clean, and again, just love the progress and love where we're at.
You guys obviously are rolling right now the way that you guys are playing. You mentioned Landon York, your QB1, a guy who's over 3,000 yards passing, just a junior as well. The numbers are impressive, but as the guy who gets to see him every day in practice, what is it about Landon York that really sets him apart?
Hey, we kind of thought, Coach Londerholm had actually coached Landon, as the sub-varsity coach, and Landon was always just a real steady kid, and again, there's fiery leaders, there's those steady kind of kids. Landon is just you're rock solid. He is the same every day. You can't really tell, if he just had missed 2 or 3 reads or throws, or if he's made 50 in a row. He is the consistent performer every day. And again, we knew he was going to be really good in that role, and he has absolutely, probably exceeded where I thought he was going to be in year one. And again, that's credit to him and the coaches. But, Landon is a really special human being that's also a really awesome quarterback. So it's and like I said, being a junior, that's added bonus also.
Craig Slaughter, the head coach of the Wallhawks, joining us here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Coach, I want to go back to even in the off season, not just when you were taking over, but I want to go back to track season, because I know that track and field is also a big part of your success there at Wall, not just on track, but as it is translated to there. How have you seen you guys' success in track kind of translate over to what you guys are doing now in the fall?
I had the good fortune the past, couple of years of being the head track coach, so these perimeter pieces, that we've watched compete and run, we knew were on the way. We got, I don't want to lie, but I think we either got second or third at the regional track meet. I know we got fifth at the state track meet. So there's some real dudes, here right now, which is obviously awesome. But again, any good football program, Gunner Tigers, Holiday Eagles, whoever, those teams, Brock, those teams that we used to see at the regional track meet, most years, those relays, and especially that mile relay where it's about toughness and, some guts out there, those big time football programs, it's amazing how many of those programs are adopting all those relays, and that's who you're competing with to try to get to Austin, but track definitely, and we do highly encourage, all of our football kids to run, and it's not really that hard to get them to run in Wall because, they know it's such a big piece of the winning formula.
You guys are on the defensive side. I know you're a defensive guy at heart, and you guys are traditionally have been very, very good defensively. That is continuing this year. I think it's easy to just look at all the Wall defenses and say, well, they're just good at defense. What is it about this year's team that has you most excited on the defensive side?
One, again, this is my 8th year of running the defense, so like all of these kids absolutely, from the time they were 7th grade, have used our terminology and our, the calls and checks and things that we do, so like as we were talking yesterday at practice, that there'll be some things that Canadian has for us that they have not shown. It's anything goes this time of year, and I'm counting on our kids to see it, adjust to it, communicate the things that we would do. So many of these pieces of the puzzle were good pieces of our puzzle last year. We have great experience. Obviously, like you had mentioned, the program coach Guy had built. In no way was this this is not a rebuild. This was a strong roster. Whoever was going to step into that chair, and those kids are definitely performing up to task.
I do want to ask you a little bit about your game tomorrow in Lubbock. You guys are going to take on Canadian, who in Region 1 requires no introduction at this point.
No doubt.
I don't want to ask you to give away your game plan against the Wildcats, but when you take a look at what you're going to be up against tomorrow night in Lubbock, what do you see? Region 1 has absolutely been ruled by a Canadian. Tremendous program, tremendous coaching staff. I know 2 years ago when we knew we were pretty good, but, we didn't really know if we were going to see, be able to get to those guys or not. And we were talking way early in the year, like, man, it would be like personally, I would love to defend those guys just to see what it's like. And I'll be honest, it wasn't that fun of an experience, but it was good for me because there were things like driving home, that night that that's an issue against those guys. And, they are a super tough football team, and they're a proud football team, just if you're going to kill the king, you can't, you don't mess around. You better take that field intending to get the king and move on, because those guys are going to give you nothing. They don't care, who you played or what your record is, and they're an absolute diamond of West Texas small school football program. And, we're going to have to go play clean, play physical, because I know they will. And finally, Coach, not to date you, you're in your 16th year as a head coach. You've stopped in Hearn, stopped in Clyde, stopped in Sweetwater, and a 5-year bit in Llano. And our producer Ashley Pickle is a Llano grad, and I'm
Yes,
curious.
she is.
I'm curious if you remember Cub reporter Ashley Pickle.
Oh, hey, dude, I was joking with Ashley when she called me. Hey, I mean, I take no credit, but Ashley used to interview me after pep rallies, and I remember, like, I was telling my wife, like, I could not believe, like, how good and skilled she was. I really thought, it may be well, hey, tell me about those jackets. She would always ask. I mean, a good question. She just her presence was always awesome. And obviously, I mean, I was joking with her. Lord, I see her, on my TV when I watch the state championship games, and I see her on my social media. Yeah, I knew Ashley way back. Yeah, what a great job and great career she's having.
We're pretty starstruck as well around here, Coach.
No doubt, I understand.
He's Craig Slaughter. He's the head coach of the Wall Hawks. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations again on all your success, and best of luck tomorrow night.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. There he goes. Craig Slaughter, former Llano head coach.
Tell you what, he was patient with me, man. He was patient with me. Always appreciated that.
Yeah, that's former Llano head coach from 2012 2016. But he's been the defense coordinator there at Wall, and their defense has been out of control. Mm-hmm. And now he gets the bump up to head coach after Houston guy retires, and they're rolling. And they really did. I can't stress this enough. They were essentially running like the flex bone out at Wall. And in a year, they went from a team that ran the ball. I had this a minute ago. They went from a team that ran the ball a total of. I can pull this up. This is going great. Last year, they threw for 1,172 yards and 16 touchdowns. Okay, compared to running for 3,776 yards.
It's crazy.
This year they have a 3,000-yard passer in Landon York, and also, by the way, they still have a 1,000-yard rusher. Mm-hmm. They're just putting up points. They are different, and the track part of it is huge because they are relay champs. They're in 3A. They're a team to watch, and Canadian. Look, they are probably about to go into a situation where in consecutive weeks, if they were to win their games, they would play Canadian, and then they'd play Gunner, and they'd play somebody in a state championship. And you want to talk about the teeth of 3A Division II. It is coming. So we appreciate Craig Slaughter taking a little bit of time to chat with us. We are at Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com.
Do you want to tell the people about the Rising magazine for a minute here?
I would love to. I would love to vamp.
Thank you, as I forgot to put the Picks video in.
I want you to consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. We will mail you the 2024 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Rising magazine with Jonah Williams of Galveston Ball on the cover. Of course, we had our big early signing period or early signing day show yesterday here on this very program, wherever you're watching this, which was a lot of fun. And so I want you to go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber. Get this magazine, 96 pages with more than 400 prospects, the best 400 prospects across the state from the class 2025, 26, 27, and 28. We'll drop it in the mail for you right now. I don't want to vamp anymore.
That's fine. We don't have to.
Pickle, the regional finals of the Texas High School football playoffs are here. 44 games. I made 44 picks. Here's the picks, my high school ball predictions for the regional finals of the Texas High School football playoffs on Texas Football Today.
It's a 2-week sprint to AT&T Stadium in the regional finals of the Texas High School football playoffs. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks, your guide to the Texas High School football playoffs. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and it's getting late early, folks. It is December, and we are into the thick of playoff season. There are merely 88 UIL Texas High School football teams remaining. We will narrow that down to 24 over the next 2 weeks. That will appear at AT&T Stadium in Arlington to play for it all. And we've already been on a wild ride through the first half of the Texas High School football playoffs with upsets, surprises, Cinderellas, first-time regional finalists. It is a smorgasbord of a variety of different teams. You've got the powers, right? The teams we expected to be here, but also you've got a number of teams that We had no idea we're going to make it this far. That's what makes this the most wonderful time of the year and the time to lock in to Texas high school football. There are massive games everywhere you look. We will predict every single one of them. We start in Houston. 6 o'clock Saturday night at NRG Stadium in Houston. It's a 5A Division II regional final between the Richmond Randall Lions and the Iowa Colony Pioneers. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number one, the next big thing. So Richmond Randall is a new program, right? They're in their third varsity season, and they've already made an impact in the Houston area, and they are kind of the rising power there in H-Town. But specifically, they've got one guy that you could probably identify as the next big thing coming out of the Houston area. I'm talking about running back Landon Williams-Callis, the super sophomore recently named a Mr. Texas football finalist, has been absolutely electrifying this year. He's got 41 rushing touchdowns, he's averaging 11 yards per carry, and he is also a threat out of the backfield. Last week in their regional semifinal win over Brenham, his long touchdown catch was the real difference maker in that ball game. Landon Williams-Callis will be the most dynamic playmaker in this game. Can he show out on the big stage? Key number two, the Pioneers' playmaking defense. When you take a look at this Iowa Colony team, the first thing that jumps out at you is the defense, which comes up with massive splash plays every time you look up. 27 total turnovers on the year. They've had 87 tackles for loss, 25 sacks. They make plays, game-changing plays that turn the ball over or get their opponents behind the chains. Guys like Jeremy Gardner and Hayden Caston lead the way on what has been a remarkable Pioneers defense. Still in their infancy as a program as well, but making their presence felt in the Houston area. So, in this clash in the Houston area, can the defense for the Pioneers be the difference maker? And key number three, you again. So these two teams are pretty familiar with one another. This is in fact one of 12 rematches in the Texas high school football playoffs this weekend. These are District 9 5A Division II rivals. They met back in week 5 in late September, and Randall came away with a 30-10 win. Landon Williams-Callis ran for 4 touchdowns, and the Iowa Colony offense was held to under 300 total yards of offense themselves. So a lot has changed since then, right? Teams have grown, players have been injured. These are different teams than they were back in September, but make no mistake, we have a data point. Randall was 20 points better than Iowa Colony about 2 months ago. How much have these teams changed, right? One thing I want to see is how much has Iowa Colony sophomore quarterback Carson White grown. I think he could be a real X factor in this ball game. So, with two teams that are very familiar with one another, how much has changed since they met in late September? Who am I picking? I'm going with Randall. The Lions get the nod here, even though it's hard to beat a good team twice because of the defense, which we haven't even talked about. This is the #1 scoring defense in all of 5A Division II, led by their monstrous defensive lineman, Chase Sims. They come up with big plays themselves. Iowa Colony is a better team than they were in September, the first time these two teams played. I think Carson White, the quarterback, has grown. I think they can get a big game from the running back, Aaron Tenner. That is a key in this one, and they've got to win the turnover battle. But I think that the Randall defense is too much, and I think Landon Williams-Callis is the X factor in this ball game. He and quarterback Tyler Skravanek lead the way. I think Randall is heading for the state semifinals. Let's go to 6A, 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon at Vernon Newsom Stadium in Mansfield. It is a 6A Division I regional final between the North Crowley Panthers and the Allen Eagles, and this is brand name football right here. And it's really interesting because you've got kind of the surging power in North Crowley going up against a resurgent power in Allen in a matchup of unbeatens. This is fantastic stuff here. And the money matchup, all eyes are going to be on this North Crowley offense with quarterback Chris Jemerson and wide receiver Quentin Gibson, recently named a Mr. Texas football finalist, going up against this outstanding Allen defense led by Mitchell New. That is the money matchup here. That is box office. That's what you want to see. A lot of this also comes down to the other side, and specifically for Allen, this feels like the final exam for quarterback Brady Bricker. He has grown so much as the season has gone on, and I think he is a real threat to take over this ball game. But I look at North Crowley and the weaponry they've got, the playmakers they've got, and the strong defensive line, which I think can match up with Allen's very good offensive line. And I think that is the difference. I think this game is close and worthy of prime time, but I think that North Crowley moves on to the state semifinals. Let's go to 4A, 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Harlandale Memorial Stadium in San Antonio. It is a 4A Division II regional final between the Wimberley Texans and the Sinton Pirates, and it is Judgment Day in Region 4. So, Wimberley is the team of record in Region 4. They have won each of the last 2 regional titles. They've won 4 of the last 5 regional titles. They've won 5 of the last 7 regional titles. They are the team to beat in Region 4, hard stop, not an opinion, okay? What Doug Warren has done there is absolutely remarkable. And quarterback Cody Stover, a moment on him. Cody Stover took over this Wimberley team a couple of years ago, and I think that people thought that they were gonna kind of lie down and go away, right? Because they were making a change at quarterback and we didn't know what this guy had. All he's done is put together, I think, an iconic Texas high school football career. Unbelievable what he's done, and we do not appreciate what Cody Stover has done in his high school football career. To keep it going, they will have to get past Sinton, undefeated and long earmarked as the team to dethrone Wimberley in Region 4. Quarterback Tristan Hansen has been fantastic, and their defense, led by Aiden Galvan, is absolutely relentless. Coach Mike Troutman has got those boys humming right now. This is a fascinating ball game. It's hard to pick against a dominant power in region play like Wimberley, but I think Sinton's got what it takes. I think Tristan Hansen leads them to the semifinals. I think Sinton beats Wimberley. To 3A we go, 6 o'clock Friday night at Patriot Stadium in Lubbock. It is a 3A Division II regional final between the Canadian Wildcats and the Wall Hawks. And much like we were talking about with Wimberley and Sinton, this is kind of that same dynamic with a long-standing regional power going up against their biggest challenge they've had in the region in quite some time. Canadian has won Region 1 in 9 of the last 10 seasons. 9 of the last 10 seasons Canadian has played in the state semifinal. Absolutely outrageous the dominance they've had in Region 1. And after a wobbly start to the season, they have really started to figure it out, especially with the running game. Sladen Dickinson, their running back, has been terrific, and their defense looks like it's rounding into form, thanks in large part to the absolutely remarkable Wyatt Davis. Go read his story, he's unbelievable. This is a huge test to them this week against Wall, who has looked every bit the part of a state championship contender. The flex bone is out, and the offensive firepower is in for the Hawks. They've got a 3,000-yard passer in Landon York. He has been terrific back there. Plus, Thomas Leonis has been really strong at the running back spot as well, a 1,000-yard rusher himself. They have great balance to their offense. Their defense has been solid as well. I think Wall's going to do it. I don't know what it is. I think the offensive firepower, I think the way their defense is playing right now, they're flying the football. I think they've got what it takes to dethrone Canadian in Region 1. I think Wall moves on to the state semifinal. To 2A we go, 7 o'clock Friday night at Tiger Stadium in Belton. It is a 2A Division I regional final between the Hamilton Bulldogs and the Axtell Longhorns. The most mysterious region in Texas high school football comes to a head this week as Region 2 will be decided between a team we thought would be here and a team nobody thought would be here. So Axtell's the team that was predicted to be playing in a regional final. They were our pick in the magazine to win Region 2, and they've largely lived up to the hype. Coach Craig Horn has done a terrific job. They've got a rock-solid defense and a balanced attack. Colton Horn, their running back, has been very good. Levi Leathers, their sophomore quarterback, feels like he's taken the next step. This team has played to their paper. Plain and simple, we expected them to be in a regional final, and here they are. Hamilton is 13-0? Hamilton. They're in the midst of their best season in program history by a mile, okay? They haven't had a 10-win season in 20 years, to put it in perspective. but they have found the juice, and they are rolling right now. Isaac Wood, their running back, has been terrific. Jackson Edwards, their quarterback, has stepped up in a big way, and their defense is peaking at the right time. Hamilton, neither one of these teams have ever been this far in the playoffs. This is the first fourth round appearance for either one of these teams. One of them is going to make history, making it to the state semifinals, and I think it's Hamilton. I think the Bulldogs got a little team of destiny in them, and I think their defense is the difference. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think the Hamilton Bulldogs are going to play in the state semifinal. And we will punch our first 4 tickets to AT&T Stadium this week in the 1A state semifinals. 6 o'clock Saturday night at the Wild and Godly. It is a 1A Division I state semifinal between the Gordon Longhorns and the Abbott Panthers. It is the game of the year in 6-man football. These two teams have been number 1 and number 2 all year long, and they have been dominant, okay? These two teams are combined 13-0. Of those 26 games, they've won 25 of them by the 45-point mercy rule. The only game that wasn't decided by a 45-point mercy rule was when Abbott beat Oglesby in week 1. And Oglesby is a state semifinalist in 1A Division II. Okay, these two teams are the teams that we have wanted to see square up all season long in 1A Division I, and I can't wait to see it. The star power here from a 6-man perspective is outrageous, okay? For Gordon, you've got Rye Reed and Stryker Reed. They have been absolutely terrific all year long, and their defense has been locking people down. On the other side, for this Abbott ball club under first-year head coach Kyle Crawford, they are rolling with Riley Sestala, Mason Hell, Paxton Pajovsky. They have got dudes all over the place. This team is rolling right now. This is about as close a game as I can remember in 6-man football. This is hard to split these two teams, okay? They've both been absolutely dominant. And I'm actually a little inclined not to make a pick, but it's called the picks, so it's kind of hard to avoid it. I'm going with Gordon. The reason is championships advantage. They're the reigning 1A Division I state champs, and in the end, that should matter. I think that big game experience will play into a factor. I also think their defense gives them a little bit of an edge. This game is close. It is the game of the year in 6-man football, but I'm going with Gordon. But those are far from the only big games in the regional finals of the Texas High School Football Playoffs. Let's get to the lightning round. In 6A Division I, I like Duncanville to take down Bridgeland. In a rematch we've been waiting for, I think North Shore continues their mastery of Atascocita, and it's another Battle of the Lakes. I like Westlake to get by Lake Travis. To 6A Division II we go. South Lake Carroll's pretty wounded, but I think they find a way past Denton Geyer, and DeSoto keeps on rolling. I think they get a win over Longview. In an all-Humble ISD regional final, I like Summer Creek over Kingwood in a rematch. And down in Region 4, I'm going with Austin Vandergrift over San Antonio Harlan. To 5A Division I we go. LaPorte versus Angleton is another rematch, and I'm fairly certain I've picked against both teams every week in the playoffs. They've made me look really silly. I like LaPorte in a very close one. And in the DFW Metroplex, I like Highland Park over Frisco Lone Star. I think Smithson Valley takes down Corpus Christi Flower Bluff, and in another rematch, I think Alito wins a close one over Denton Ryan. To 5A Division II we go. I like Argyle over Lovejoy. Corpus Christi Miller keeps flying with a win over Bernie, and it's a rematch of the last 2 state championship games. I like Port Neches Groves over South Oak Cliff. To 4A Division I we go. I like Stephenville over Canyon West Plains, but keep an eye on that one. And you want to talk about firepower, I like Salina in a wild one over Alvarado. Bay City keeps on rolling. They get a win over Lavernia, and it's an East Texas rivalry renewed. I like Kilgore over Chapel Hill. To 4A Division II we go. Graham takes down Brock for a second time this season. Carthage keeps on rolling with a win over Van, and Waco La Vega beats Sealy. To 3A Division I we go. I'm going with the defending state champs Malakoff to get by Liberty Ilo. And how about Paradise? I think they get a win over Shallow Water. I'm going with Edna over Llano. Do not check your DMs, Ashley Pickle. And in one of the games of the year, I like Columbus over Franklin. To 3A Division 2 we go. Gunner beats Holiday to win Region 2 for the umpteenth consecutive year. Lexington dethrones Tidehaven in Region 4. And is Dangerfield the hottest team in Texas? I think they beat Woodville. To 2A Division 1 we go. Battle of Unbeatens out west. I like Stanford over Post. I'm going with Ganado to take down Marlin. And Honeygrove punches its ticket to the state semifinal with a win over Joaquin. To 2A Division 2 we go. Groover keeps rolling. They take down a feisty Ropes team. And in another rematch, I like Munster to beat Collinsville for the second time this year. I'm going with Shiner over Junction in a really fun Region 4 final. And Bremond gets revenge for a non-district loss over Grapeland. And it's the state semifinals in Class 1A. In 1A Division 1, I like Whiteface over Water Valley. And in 1A Division 2, give me Jayton over Klondike, and Oglesby takes down Oakwood. And those are the picks. That's all 44 UIL Texas High School football playoff games this week. So now you can let me know, what am I wrong about? Leave comments down below. Don't forget that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com, where you can find complete coverage of the 2024 Texas High School football playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the regional finals. We'll see you.
There it is, the picks. A brief look at the 44 Texas High School football playoff games this weekend.
17 minutes of you yapping.
Can I tell you something?
I feel bad for VNA.
Next week's usually like a half hour.
Yep.
Anyway, I guarantee I got at least one of those right. That's getting tougher and tougher to say.
Yeah.
But I guarantee I got at least one of those right. Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's go live to South Bend, Indiana, to talk with the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, and the host of the eponymous Craig Wayshaw on AM 1300 The Zone, and the host of High School Scoreboard Live as well. He is Craig Way. Hi, Craig.
How you guys doing?
How are the Golden Domers treating you?
Well, I just got here a little while ago. I had a men's basketball game, Texas, NC State, ACC, SEC Challenge last night in Raleigh, and went through Charlotte and had a little 2-hour plane delay, and so then we land here, and it's a blizzard. So I landed, and the words "lake effect snow" don't usually bother us too much. They're used to it up here, but landed and. I mean, I'm going to tell you, it's cold. You know how cold it is?
How cold is it, Craig?
I heard that somebody went over to see if Touchdown Jesus needed an overcoat. I'm telling you, it is cold. Yeah, I'll be here all week. No, I won't, actually. I'll be in Atlanta on Saturday, but try the veal.
You will be in Atlanta because of what happened last Saturday night in College Station. Texas defeats Texas A&M 17-7 as the rivalry is renewed for the first time in 13 years. I'm curious. You were at the last one, and you were at this one, and I'm curious to know, now that they've played again, what comparisons you make. Is it just like slipping on an old pair of shoes, or does the rivalry feel like it's changed?
In some ways, it kind of has that familiarity about it, and a lot of that, fans know fans and that sort of thing. It's a little different because now being in the SEC in Texas, being a newbie in the SEC, there was that kind of labeling going on. And now that Texas as a newbie is qualified for the SEC championship in their first year in the Southeastern Conference, I think things will probably kind of settle down a little bit afterwards. But people were very nice. It was an electric environment at times. But Texas played well enough to kind of keep the fans at arm's length. Sark on our postgame show afterwards said, maybe I built it up in my head to be bigger and more imposing than it actually turned out to be. It was 109,000. And I know what he means because, Tep, I can tell you, yes, the 109,000 were loud. But when Vanderbilt was within 3 in the fourth quarter, 29,000 there were loud. And when Arkansas was within 3 in the fourth quarter, 69,000 were allowed there. So, it would just, by and large, the play of the Texas defense, I think, just kind of kept the crowd a little bit more subdued than they might ordinarily be. But it'll be a great series. I'm glad it's back. So it'll be a lot of fun.
And of course, now they get the right to go to Atlanta, where they will take on a team that beat them 7 weeks ago in the Georgia Bulldogs. It was a 30-15 game back on October 19th. Why? Let me just play dumb here. Why should I believe that the result will be different this time around, or at least what they're saying around Texas parts?
Why indeed? Well, I think there's a couple of things that are different about it this time around. First of all, just the nuts and bolts of it. Texas is running the ball with more of a purpose and more yardage and more production. They have really stepped up their game defensively. They've been good all year, but they've been outstanding the last few weeks. And Georgia has been a little leaky against the run in some recent ball games. So I think all those things could change it. But I will tell you this, Jeff, they've got to protect Quinn Ewers, or even maybe in some possible wildcat sets in the red zone if Arch Manning's in there, whoever's in there, they've got to protect them. In the 2 back-to-back games of Georgia and Vanderbilt, Texas surrendered 16 sacks. In the 4 games since, they've surrendered a grand total of 6. So they've done a better job of protecting the quarterback, but they're going to have to do that again because this Georgia defense really is good, especially against the pass.
Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. All right, Craig, on to the high school football ranks, where it's regional final week across the state. And I want to ask you a couple of different questions. One of them is, this is kind of last call time for a number of regions across the state that have been kind of long dominated by particular teams. And so I want to give you 3 of them that have crossed my mind, and I want to know which one you think perhaps is most in peril this week. Is it Gunter in 3A Division II, who takes on a good Holiday team this week? Is it Canadian, who we just talked with Craig Slaughter, the head coach of the Wall Hawks? They're in 3A Division II Region 1, who've won 9 of the last 10 regional titles up there in Region 1. Or is it Wimberley in 4A Division 1, or 4A Division 2 rather, in Region 4, who have won 5 of the last 7 regional titles, but have a big matchup with Sinton this week? Which of those kind of long-standing regional powers do you foresee perhaps being in the most peril this week?
I think it's really, really close between Wimberley and Canadian. Mm-hmm. They're playing very, very good teams, and I think it's going to. Gunter is not playing chopped liver, by the way. Holiday, as you laid out, is a really good ball club, but the old thing, they're going to have to beat the man to be the man there with regard to Gunter. Wimberley is playing an outstanding Sinton team with a lot of speed, and the Texans will have to deal with that, I think, for sure. And then Canadian is playing a big, fast, mean-looking Wall Hawk ball club, well coached, obviously. So I think I would say Canadian maybe, and then not far behind them, Wimberley perhaps.
And then I want to ask you, of course, about it's also rematch week across the state. There's 12 games that we've already seen once, and it's good. They were good enough the first time around. We decided to re-up with it. One of them, of course, going on in your backyard, the Battle of the Lakes Part 2, as Westlake takes on Lake Travis. The first time they played back on October 25th, Westlake came away with a 28-16 win. And I guess my question for you would be kind of similar to the question about Texas and Georgia. We've seen this movie before. What about this game coming up here this week at the Palace on Parmer in Round Rock? What gives you thought that maybe this particular meeting might be different than the first time we saw it?
similar to the Texas-Georgia thing on two levels. First of all, Texas played so poorly in the first half, and they were down 23-0, but they played a really good second half, especially in the third quarter, and they pulled within 8 at 23-15. In the first meeting, however, between Lake Travis and Westlake, it was hammer and tong for a while. They went back and forth. Remember, that was a 21-16 ball game in the fourth quarter until the Shaps got the big punt return to give them the distance that they needed to do it. I think both teams' defenses are really shining right now. And, which one can impose the will and the other makes a difference. I do think that this particular game, as opposed to some other rematches, has a chance to flip. This one more so than the other ones, perhaps more so than North Shore Atascocita. Perhaps more so than a couple of other rematch matchups as well.
Last question for Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, before we let him get back to his blizzard. Craig, normally we do the meanest thing we do to each other each week, which is to make you pick between 3 games. But I'm going to make it even tougher for you. Craig Way, you can either go to perhaps the most anticipated 11-man game of the year, 7 o'clock Friday night in Nacogdoches between South Oak Cliff and Port Neches Groves. Or, and you know where I'm going with this, or you can go to the most anticipated 6-man football game of the year, 6 o'clock Saturday night at Godley, as Abbott takes on Gordon in a battle of unbeatens with a spot at AT&T Stadium on the line. This is perhaps the meanest thing I've ever done to you. Which one of those are you going to?
Yeah, shame on you. Really, really shame on you. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go off the grid on you.
Oh.
Because now, what have I said on the show past? Well, you asked me from day one which classifications that I find the most fascinating would be most intriguing. And I said 2 of them. Remember? I said 5A Division II. Yep. And it has lived up to the billing.
Absolutely.
Not only with PNG and SOC, but also what we could see from Argyle and Lovejoy. And then the other's 3AD1. How can you walk away from Columbus Franklin? Yep. How can you do it?
He meant to say Llano Edna.
Now, having said all that, what do I think has the chance to be the best game of all of them? The 6-man game, Abbott and Gordon. But if you're telling me that, I'm gonna have to go Solomon and all and split the baby and say I'm not going to pick either of those. I can't choose one over the other, so I'll go to Columbus Franklin instead.
That is fair enough. Foisted on my own petard. He is Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Hear him on the Craig Way Show on AM 1300 The Zone. You can hear him on the Texas Radio Network by Learfield, calling all the Texas sports, including there in South Bend, Indiana, tonight. And then you can occasionally, I guess, see him on FanDuel Sports Southwest on High School Scoreboard Live. We miss you, man, desperately.
It's been a long time since I've gone 5
felt like you had an
weeks without
excuse.
being on, but it ends. The drought ends after this week. I'll be back to call a game next week for FanDuel Southwest and the show. I'll be back in studio with you and E.
Safe travels, my friend.
Thank you.
There he goes, Craig Way, the Texas Football Hall of Famer. Joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football today, regardless of what state he's in. I mean that state, United States of America, not like...
Yes.
You never know what state he's in either, you know what I mean? So anyway, we appreciate him hopping on with us. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Final Thoughts.
Final what?
Final Thoughts.
Did the state of Texas keep most of its talent in state after early signing day? Which state keeps most of its players in state?
So we do an awesome article in the summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's not awesome because I write it, but it is awesome because it's just cool, where we dive into the numbers of teams of states that keep their guys at home.
It's my favorite page to proofread.
It's very cool. It's just a real like, if you're wired a certain way, it's
broken.
Super interesting. Exactly right. I will tell you that Texas, for the most, I don't have it in front of me right now, but Texas, for the most part, does a pretty good job of sealing the borders. Part of that is that we've got 13 FBS teams, which helps, right? Now, you look at the top 10 at texasfootball.com/recruiting, and you're going to see a lot of non-Texas teams, okay? Decorian Moore, Oregon. Devin Sanchez, Ohio State. Keelan Russell, Alabama. Michael Fasusi, OU, after some drama. Ty Haywood's committed to Alabama. I don't think he signed yesterday. And then Riley Pettijohn, Ohio State. and then Dorian Brew, the cornerback from Conroe, signed with Oregon. There are 3 guys who signed in the state, all with Texas: Jonah Williams, Lance Jackson, and Khalil Lockett. I do think, though, that the depth here is what you want to look at, and so in the aggregate, Texas does a pretty good job. The state of Texas does a pretty good job of sealing the borders and keeping the players in on the aggregate. But the top level is always going to be, people are going to be trying to come in here and grab as many as they can because there is such talent here at the very top end. And you see that, I think, once again laid bare. So overall, Texas does a pretty good job of sealing the borders, but just know that when you've got this type of crop, you're going to have raiders try to come in from outside the borders and grab it. So I'm interested in breaking down the numbers again in the 2025 summer edition to see how well Texas did at sealing the borders. Anything else? That it?
Yeah, no, I've got one. Best single school stadium. So it cannot be a multi-ISD, but they're talking about when it comes to atmosphere, concessions, overall experience.
Well, that's a tough question because, like, you could go, like, one of the things that came to mind is I haven't been out to Godley, what they call the Wild. I know Ish has been and came back and was just like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's so nice.
It's crazy. Between that, like, look, I love Lobo Stadium in Longview. I love Lobo Stadium in Longview. I've never been to the reservation in Port Neches, but I've heard that's incredible, right?
And it's funny because when you start like
Allen obviously is on that list too.
Oh, so many of the Houston stadiums. I love Planet Ford.
See,
absolutely.
So
love
I guess the question is that if it's a single school, then you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like that's qualified because, like,
single school. Yeah,
because for example, like Prosper Stadium's incredible.
Yeah,
but they've got 3 schools. Salina.
Well, and I think it's funny because, like, there are, especially when you get down in the small school realms, it's literally just a hunk of bleachers a lot of times. But if you want to talk about, it's always full because it's so small. Like, I think of, like, Munster. I went to a game in Munster, and it's like, it's small, but you've got people lining up the entire fence line, you know? And so the atmosphere is great. A lot of times when it comes to small school ball, you've got the ag team out there grilling stuff, and so, like, the food is incredible because it's not just like normal processed, you know, concession stand food and stuff. So
I'm also partial to El Paso High School, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know, with,
or like the Puncher Domes, easy to say.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
VNA said Lake Dallas. I'm going to disagree.
Okay. Now, okay.
That's a homer pick.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for example, I will just, if you want to even zoom out a little bit and you just want to look at facilities, I know you and I went down to Franklin a couple of years ago to do their facility tour.
Their indoor is insane.
Shocking. They have a golf simulator too, which I know you were all.
So cool.
So that's a hard question as far as a single. But, like, for example, like Lake Travis's stadium's really nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a single school district as well. That's hard. I don't want to noodle on. And again, a lot of it depends on what you're looking for. Is like Allen is obviously the big palace for a one school town, right? That's one of them. Like, you know, I really, I don't know. I would want to dig in. Initially, my first thought was like, I love Lobo Stadium. I love Jacksonville, the Tomato Bowl. That's a one school stadium.
Okay, a couple more questions here that are real quick. I don't know how many Christmas sweaters I own. I think I can make it the whole month.
Great question.
So it's going to be over like probably 25. I'll
Do I need
try
to buy one?
Count. Yeah.
Okay.
Try to count and get that number back to you. We are not having a subscriber meetup at the state championships this year.
I thought about this the other day.
So I can't necessarily tell you what is going to be replacing that yet, but we will get there next in the off season. But just know no subscriber meetup this year, but don't worry, you'll have plenty of other opportunities to give Greg Tepper surprise hugs. I promise.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do is gonna be even cooler than
we are
the meetup breakfast.
We're not doing the meetup this week, the subscriber meet and greet. As much fun as it's been the past couple of years, we want to redeploy those resources at another time
to do something even cooler
that may be more
fun,
inclusive of more people.
And fun.
Is that nebulous enough?
We like fun.
Should I be more vague?
Yes.
Okay. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to all the Craigs. Craig Slaughter, head coach of the Wall Hawks, for joining us. And Craig Wyatt, the Texas Football Hall of Famer, live from South Bend, Indiana, for being our guests.
What a weird show.
For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We will see you Monday on Texas Football Today.